Hello, welcome back to Genius. So today, let's talk about HTML attributes. Okay, let's talk about HTML attributes. Last class, last lesson, we talked about HTML elements and tags. So let's talk about what are HTML attributes. In HTML, attributes are special words used inside HTML tags to provide extra information about elements. All right, attributes are special words we use inside HTML tags. So that means they are used inside HTML tags. Let me show you. Now, this is an HTML tag. I can, inside of the tag, all right, inside of the opening tag, let me expand this thing a bit. Okay. All right. So inside of the opening tag, look at where my cursor is. I can use one of the attributes title, and then I can say my name. Do you understand? So now this is an attribute right now. This attribute is going to tell the browser, give the browser more information about this element. So attributes are used. So if you're not using a live server, you can just go to the folder and then double click on the file. But right now I'm going to use my live server. It will open the browser for me. So if I take my mouse over to this, all right, you will see the title. So now with this, you can see that title and the value I gave it. So basically, what attributes do is that they give extra information to the browser about elements. So in this case, I have given the browser extra information about this element. I've told the browser that yes, this element has an attribute. All right, this element has an attribute. So the browser, we are using the attributes to give the browser extra information. Okay, so they help control how elements behave or appear on a web page. There are different types of attributes. But all of them has one importance or one goal. They actually provide extra information about any element they are in. All right. So think of HTML attributes as instructions or settings that tell the browser more details about an element. Basically, these HTML attributes, they are used by the browser. So when the browser sees an HTML attribute, it figures out that, oh, this attribute is trying to give me more information about the element. Okay. So in this class, you understand what attributes are and how they modify elements. You will learn about global attributes. All right. We have the ID, the class, and the style attributes. These are global attributes. Global attributes means that it can be found, this kind of attributes can be found in every element. So you use attributes for links and images. So you will be studying HTML and CSS, design and build website by Don Duckett. You will study chapter 3. Chapter 3 tells you more about attributes. Okay. And then this is the syntax for attributes. See the opening tag. The attributes are inside of the opening tag. This is the tag name. This is the opening tag. Then attribute, the name of the attribute, then equal to in double quotes the value. All right. So in this case, look at what I have here. I have the opening tag of this H1 element, and inside of the opening tag, I now have an attribute called title, and then this is the value. So attributes are like key value pairs. Okay, this is the key and this is the value. So attributes, this is the name of the attribute, then equal to, then in double quotes, the value. So whatever value you give it here is what the browser will see. Okay, so example, in this case now, this is an image. All right, we are using the source attribute. This is the source attribute. We are using the source attribute to tell the browser where to find the image. We are using the source attribute to tell the browser where to find an image. We also have another attribute here, the alt attribute. We'll talk about all of them later on. Okay, but if I go on now and then let me just add an image here. Then I would say the source attribute is equal to, the source attribute will point to the the um the source, like the URL of the image. So in this case, I'm pointing to so please make sure that you have an image in your folder. This case now, I have an image in this folder. All right, I have an image in this folder. So this is the source. All right. Then there's another one called the auth attribute. We'll talk about it in a bit. I can just say image. All right. And then there's another attribute we can also give width attribute. Okay, so these are different types of attributes for an image. I can say the width is, let's say, 50 pixel, and then the height is also 50 pixel. I think I should put px there. Yeah, I think so. So if I save, go to the browser, we have the image here. You can see the image here. All right. So in case you're using our code editor on here, we can actually, in this case now, look at the image. All right. But the thing is that because this code editor is not really big like the Visual Studio Code, we cannot import any image here. So, but what you can do here is that you can go to the browser, search for images. Okay. Maybe I can just take the URL of this image. I just want to copy the URL. Okay, so this is the URL. I think so. Okay. I'm just trying to, no, I don't want to download. I just want to copy the URL. So if I do this, I'm looking for the URL. I'm looking for the URL. Okay. If I try to share, what am I sharing? Set link to. I'm finding a way to look for the URL so that I can add it there. Okay, so let me just go back and search for images URL. That will give me a better. Okay, please pardon me. Oops. Pardon me, image URL. Uh-huh. I just want to. I want to show you how you can actually do the same thing. Oh, oh. I don't want to download because there will be no need downloading. Okay, so in case you're using this, the thing is look for any image URL. Okay, look for any image URL. I don't like giving up on something, but this is going to just take my time. If I do this, I even have to pay for to get the image. Okay. Oops, I don't want to download. All right, so I'm leaving this. I'm leaving this. Okay, I don't want it to waste too much of my time. So find a way to get the any image URL. So you can place the URL here. All right, you can place the URL here. But in this case now, I don't have the URL. That is why if I run this code now, um, you see the odds. If the image URL was not found, the odds attribute will be is that's what you will see. So if you don't see if the image was not found, then the auth attribute is what you will see. So, but let's just continue. We'll come back to the image source and then the auth keyword or the auth. So, but these are just attributes. We have the source attribute. The source attribute for an image tells the browser where to fetch the image. So in this case, the browser will see that this is a local image. So it will just go to this folder and look for it. This is the image here. Now this is the image, okay? So, but for if the image URL is pointing to a website, the browser will go and fetch it there. Okay. All right. So these are attributes. Source is an attribute, and this is the value of the source. Auth is an attribute. This is the value of this auth. Width is an attribute. This is the value of the width. Okay. So that is how attributes work. So href is an important attribute for links. So if I go to the browser again, I think we have okay, now look at it. This is a link tag. All right, the anchor tag, a link tag. So the href is an attribute, and then it provides the link to the place you want to, the URL you want to go to. So if I click on visit Wikipedia now, all right, it will take me to the URL that I provided here. So the href is an attribute that tells the link tag or the link element where to point to. The source and the auth attribute are important for images, okay? ID and class is for styling and identification. So we use the ID. We use the ID attribute to uniquely identify elements in a page. I can say ID is equal to maybe para, all right? So no other element should have the same ID, all right? No two elements should have the same ID. ID is an attribute that is used to uniquely identify every element on the page. Don't worry, you're going to learn more about all these things. So we use the class attribute for styling. All right. So we use the href for links. That the href link will point to the place the link wants to go to. So in this case, if I click on visit Wikipedia, it's going to take us to whatever thing we have in this href. Okay. All right. So an HTML attribute is a property that gives additional information about an HTML element. So it gives an extra information, additional information about an element. Attributes are always written inside the opening tag of an element. Look at all the attributes that I have here. They are written inside of the opening tags, all of them. Attributes are written inside the opening tag. The image is the same thing. If I also go to here, you will see that the href is inside of all the attributes that you're seeing here. They are inside of the opening tag. They're inside of the opening tag. So this is the tag name, then the attributes and the value, the content and the end tag, okay? So every attribute, one element can contain more than one attribute. But the thing is that all of them must be inside of the opening tag. And every attribute has a name and a value, okay? So what are the general rules for attributes? Attributes are written in the opening tags only. You cannot go and write, you cannot go and this attribute now. If I cannot come here, I cannot write this attribute inside of the closing tag. It will be messy and it will not even work. Okay, there will be an error. Okay, so attributes are written in the opening tag only. Most attributes come in name value pairs. So every attribute will have a name and a value. You cannot just put although some attributes don't have values, but that is more advanced. But just have it in mind that every attribute you write should have a value. But some attributes do not have value. You will see examples of them later on. Okay. Attribute values should be written inside of quotation marks, double quotation mark or single quotation mark. It can be double quotation or single quotation. So instead of, okay, I can just come to the browser. Instead of saying intro, I can use single quotation. All right. So either double quotation or single quotation is okay. Double quotation or single quotation. Okay. Attributes provide extra meaning or behavior to HTML elements. Okay. Some attributes are global. That means they can be used with any element. You see this ID, the ID element is the ID element, the ID attribute is a global attribute. It can be used by any element. You can find it can be used by any element. The class attribute can be used in any element. Even the style attribute can also be used can be used in any element. Okay, but the href cannot be used by every element. The target cannot be used by every element. Yes, I think here the title is also global. It can be used in any element. Okay. So others are specific to certain tags only, like href, like target, like auth attribute. They are specific to certain tags. But global attributes like the ID, the class, the title, the style, these are attributes that are global. They can be used in every element. So let's take a look at some examples. The href attribute in the A tag. The A tag is the link tag that we use to connect from one website to another. So when you look at this, when you look at what we have here, this is an anchor tag, the link tag, and that is what we have here. So, all right, so this anchor tag has href attribute. The href attribute is whatever you put in here. If I click on this, it will take us there. So if I click, look at it, it will take us, it has brought us to Wikipedia. So it is this URL, that we have here. But if I make any mistake now and put anything, that this is a wrong URL, and if I run this code again, the URL is broken. So it will take us to, it will say, okay, it could not be found. All right, it couldn't be found. So make sure that whatever you have here is what it should be the URL of the website you want to go to or the web page. This href can also be within, you can use this anchor tag and the href for pages within your website or pages outside of your website. Okay, but don't worry, we are going to be learning more about this and you're going to understand better. All right. So the href attribute is used to define the link destination. So when somebody clicks on that link, where are they going to? In our case, we were having Wikipedia, but in this example here, this is the URL of the website of Google. So href tells the browser where the link should go when clicked. So if you click on this link now, it will take you to Google. All right. So here, the link points to Google's website. Okay, so your href, the href in the anchor tag points to the destination. This destination can be in another website or it can be within your own website. Don't worry, you're going to understand better as we go on. The source attribute, like you have already seen, tells you the source or the location of an image. In this case, now this source is a local source. That means the browser will look for it in the same folder or in your website. All right, don't worry. We will learn more about images and how all these things work. So, but just understand that what we are talking about here is attributes. The source attribute defines the source of the image because the browser has to fetch the image. The auth attribute is the text that will show in case the image was not fetched. Okay. Source tells the browser where to find the image file, and the auth attribute gives a text description if the image fails to load. So for any reason, just like we have in this case now, the browser is actually looking for this and it couldn't find it. So because it couldn't find it, the auth attributes, the value of the auth attribute is what is displayed here. Beautiful flower, that's what we have here, okay? So we have already seen the auth attribute used to describe the image for accessibility and SEO purposes. Don't worry, we're going to learn more about accessibility and SEO. So if the image doesn't load, the text in your auth attribute will be displayed. So we also have the title attribute. The title attribute, just like you have seen here, the title attribute, where do we have any? We have title attribute. If I take my mouse over this link, it will say, look at the title attribute, go to Wikipedia. That's what we have here. So even if I come here now, if I take my mouse over here, this is the title attribute. So the title, if somebody takes their mouse over the element, the title attribute will show. Whatever they have in that text would show. In this case, this one says go to Wikipedia. So if I bring my mouse, it says goes to Wikipedia. So it gives extra information about the element. So it displays extra information when a user hovers over an element. You have seen it. So it's like a tooltip. All right, it's like a tooltip. If you take your mouse over it, if that element has a title attribute, it will show. So when you move your mouse over the text, the title appears like a small tooltip. Look at it here. If I take my mouse over the text, the title appears as a tooltip. All right. If I also go and do the same thing here, because I have a title attribute on this element, the title value comes up. All right. So we also have the style attribute. We use the style attribute to style our elements. But so far, we are not going to be talking about styling. All right. Well, when we start talking about CSS, we'll not start talking about styling. But when you look at this, what we have here, you can see now that we use the style attribute to give a color property. So that is because the color here is blue. That is why this thing is in blue. But if I make it red, so we use the style attribute to color, to style our content, our web page. You can see now this particular element, now the color have changed to red. So we use the style attribute to style our elements. Okay, so, but don't worry, we'll talk about CSS later on. But for now, we're only talking about attributes, and the style attribute is used for styling. Okay. So we also have the ID attribute that I have already shown you. It gives a unique name to an element. This unique name is used to identify it when we want to work with CSS and JavaScript. So if you come here, you can see that this ID is para. The ID here is para. So this is going to be unique for for the whole page. You should not have two IDs that have the same name. If you go to the example in the browser too, you see that this one has an ID of intro. All right. So, all right. We also have the class attribute. We will talk more about the class attribute when we start talking about styling. All right. They are used to assign one or more elements to the same group for styling or scripting. Don't worry, we'll learn more about that. But just understand that the class attribute is used for styling. We'll talk about more. We'll talk about more of that later on when we start talking about CSS. All right. All right. So global attributes are attributes that can be used on any element. ID can be used on any element, class can be used on any element, style attribute, title attribute, they can all be used in any element. The language attribute, lang attribute is also another attribute that can be used in every element. All right, so you have already seen some examples of it. ID is equal to node, class is equal to info. So these are global attributes. You can use them in any element. Okay. So why are attributes important? Attributes are important because they provide additional details about elements. They help in styling and identification of elements. They improve user experience and accessibility. They allow JavaScript and CSS to target elements easily. So attributes are something you're going to use a whole lot, okay? They also define behavior, like links, images, and tooltips, okay? So real life analogy. Imagine you're describing a car. When you want to describe a car, you will describe the car, the color, the color, the model, or whatever. So we also use attributes to define our elements. So HTML element is the car. Attributes are its properties, the color, the model, the speed. All right. So these are attributes. All right. So properties, attributes are just like properties of an element. Just like you have properties of a car, attributes are just properties of an element. Okay. All right. So the attributes describe the car, describe how the car looks and behave. So attributes are used to describe how elements look and behave in the browser. So these are different types of attributes you can take a look at. We have talked about the href. The href is used in the anchor tag in the link, defines the link destination. Source is found in image. It specifies the image source. The auth attribute is also found in image. It describes the image text. Title for every element as tooltip text. Style any element as inline styling, blah, blah, blah. So the ID and the class. So these are different types of attributes, okay? So this is an example. So you can just put this and this is just an example, okay? So this is actually the one that we already have here, okay? So this contains a lot of attributes. Okay, so when you read more, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to, by now, you should have understood, you should be able to explain attributes and why they are used. If you cannot explain what attributes are and why they are used, that means you have to rewatch this video, please. Retake this class. By now, you should be able to identify common HTML attributes and their purposes. You should be able to add and customize attributes in your HTML tags. Understand the difference between global and specific attributes. If you don't understand any of this, please rewatch the video. All right? All right, so recommended reading. Read chapter 3 of HTML and CSS, Design and Building. As for this book, all right, read chapter 3 of it, okay? So create a web page. That is your assignment. Create a web page, add a heading, add a paragraph, add an anchor link, and an image, okay? And then thank you very much. I will see you in the next class. And in case you have any question, please come to the WhatsApp group, come to the community and ask your questions, all right? This is just a very simple class for you to understand attributes. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next class.